Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
As always, great show planned for you today, but before we begin, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and share the podcast with all your friends and your family and your enemies and your beloved, as Jeff said last week before. Luca, would you like to tell the good people what we're going to give them this show while I cue up the theme here?
Yes, we have music news like we do every week. Exciting, fun. We have our review of Pitchfork's best songs of the 1990s. We're going to go through the top 20 and reflect, and you can comment below. Did they do a good job? Are we right? Are we wrong? Who knows? And then we also have two brand new music reviews from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Jeffrey.
Snarky Puppy.
Snarky Puppy. Let's get it going.
I always kind of refer to you on the second one, but I felt like that one was yours this week, so I wanted to give it to you.
I appreciate it.
I also go to Jeff when I can't pronounce things. I'd also like to point out we are the Gene Genies this evening.
It's a team effort here. Yeah, Mike's sporting the Mike's been heavily into that Netflix Jeffrey Dahmer series. You're looking like Dahmer on the prowl, right?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna be just off camera and just slowly peek my head in and just look right at the camera the whole time.
Oh wait, I shouldn't be drinking this.
No, drink the whole thing, Jeff. You'll be fine. As always, we've got your weekly dose of music news and things you may have missed. We have some RIPs on the docket. So, Luke,
let's start it off.
Luke, would you like to do? Is there anything happening in Luke's legal corner this week that maybe we can address?
Yes.
You know, the court.
I would like to address the court, but before
Go
I
get your
address
gavel.
the
Can you
court,
get your gavel? Where's your gavel?
Have some respect. Luke
Excuse
is the
me.
judge and the bailiff.
Judge, jury, and executioner. All right, this is Judge Judge Luke's legal corner.
bringing the dancing lobsters.
Order in the court.
This is legal news. Okay, so I've been talking about the FBI in the show for the past month, 2 months, and things have gotten stranger. So
Things have gotten stranger.
they really have. The FBI has had a 40-year file on Aretha Franklin, which is pretty shocking. That didn't come out in that last dump, but Rolling Stone released this a couple weeks ago, and every major news outlet has covered it. So from 40 years, they tracked her from 1967 to 2007. They had a big file on her. Initially, this file opened in 1967 is mostly to do with her dealings with Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1968, right? Or the Voting Rights Act was passed?
64.
64. The Voting Rights Act is 68.
Okay.
One of them is 1968. I know that. So at the precipice of that, in 1968, also when Martin Luther King was shot, Aretha Franklin had a lot to do with that movement in the dealings and was friends personally with Martin Luther King. So that's when the FBI opened up this file, and they continued to track her movements for her entire musical career, which is incredibly bizarre. Also to note, too, that George Bush gave her the Medal of Freedom, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor a civilian can get in the United States. And while she received this award from the president, she was being monitored by the FBI for...
There's a GPS tracker inside the medal.
Well...
we hope she wears this every
Do all
fucking
these
day.
medals blink? Are they supposed to blink? I don't understand. I guess it's just for flair. I don't know.
So they were also tracking Sammy Davis Jr. for the same reasons initially in the beginning, and they just kept following her. It also looked heavily into her 1971 Atlantic Records contract at the time because they thought that the money was being siphoned to radical black activists a la the Black Panther Party. They also actively tried to stop her from participating in a food drive that the Black Panther Party was holding. So that was also in the file.
Sorry, I ruined your Black Panther Party.
Exactly.
In
And
the
then
words of Forrest Gump.
to really round this all off, there was some another event at Red Rocks where she didn't perform unless she got paid up front. A lot of black artists really put this into effect by the 70s because they were just not getting paid. So she demanded to be paid up front before she performed. She did not get paid up front, so she did not perform at Red Rocks, and the FBI investigated this because it caused a small brawl at the thing. So actively really chasing her down her whole career. But this was what was released in the file. There is a ton redacted from these files. And I just thought it was really interesting. And like I said, Medal of Freedom, and you're getting tracked by your own government.
It's just like a 90-page dossier, and they're flipping through it, and they're like, God damn, this bitch can still sing. It's just like it's just charts of singles. Like it has nothing to do with anything else.
Johnson, did you see the file? The Franklin file. What? She released another album. Can you believe it? Oh my God, the audacity of this woman.
She made a disco album.
She just won't quit.
Who's zooming who?
My God, did you see the mink expenses on this report? I have some legal news actually to keep the legal thing going forward.
You
threw your gavel, but I was gonna hit it anyway. So California's rap lyrics bill becomes state law. So Governor Gavin Newsom signed a Decriminalizing Artistic Expression Act, which is kind of interesting because I guess the California government was kind of like taking rap lyrics and using them in kind of like a discriminatory way to kind of use it as
disingenuous
proof of crimes and stuff like that, and they were kind of like using it to their advantage. So now they cannot do that anymore. Killer Mike, Meek Mill, and E40 were there for like the virtual ceremony. So it's interesting. I didn't realize that was actually like a big issue. That like, you know what I mean, like the taking of the rap lyrics as like proof of crimes committed.
Well, if you brag about
sometimes
committing a crime in a song,
sometimes it is.
Yeah, but yeah. I suppose so.
I mean, I don't know people's names, but some blah blah blah. A lot of rappers have like A57 Melly is the guy's name, and he's in prison right now because he had a record about who he killed, and like they did the research, and they're like, oh shit, he actually did kill these people.
Oh Jesus!
Or that guy Bobby Shmurda, same thing.
Right.
His big hit had all these references to like this guy shot this guy and this guy.
Well,
because
I know, because wasn't he the one? I think I remember.
He went down for RICO charges.
I think
big conspiracy thing.
I'm not sure if it was him or who it was, but I'm pretty sure there was even that. Because it's that whole thing of like that's part of like the rap culture and sort of the criminal happenings and stuff like that, where it's kind of like people were getting upset. Maybe it was with Bobby Shmurda where people were actually getting upset because they're just like, hey man, like you named my cousin in that song of yours as like being someone who killed another person, and like that's kind of the proof there, so it's just interesting. I mean, who's to say? I'm just reporting the news. I don't know, is that good, is that bad, who's to say? But
yeah,
just interesting, and just piggybacking off of Luke's legal corner, I figure we'll get the legal news up front.
Bringing the dancing lobsters.
Yeah.
In other news, an important transaction occurred recently. A pair of Elvis's underwear was auctioned off for $800.
Wow.
And this underwear was used and, may I say, abused. It is disgusting. So if you want to Google Elvis's underwear auction, you can see the picture for yourself.
Oh, really? Are they gross? I'll try to pull up a picture if I can.
They're gross.
If it's not explicit.
Gross.
Explicit
gross,
picture.
Gross.
Were they like brown?
Gross. Yes.
Gross.
I'll leave it at gross.
What color were they supposed to be?
White at some point in their life.
Oh.
Now they're just a hunk of burning love.
Hunk of burning garbage.
So $800.
Yeah, well.
To that whatever guy.
Don't let a match around him then, I guess.
Gross. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Right. Do you have anything else, Luke? I have some more stuff. I have some funny stuff.
I have something.
Okay.
Do you guys know Bono is releasing a book?
Wow.
So...
moving on.
Before we move on, I want to read you this Garth Brooks level quote here.
Okay,
I did
it.
Yeah, okay.
So I miss being on stage in the closeness of U2's audience. In these shows, he's doing a book tour. So in these shows, I've got some stories to sing and some songs to tell. Plus, I want to have some fun presenting my memoir, Surrender, which is really more of a we-more. If I think of all the people who have helped me get there. So there's this weird memoir, and then he quickly just reverses 180 in literally the next sentence and says it's a we-moir. So his memoir...
How about a no-moir?
Thank you, Jeff. So Bono's memoir, Stories to Surrender, will be out November 2nd. If you are into that kind of thing, I might read it. It might be crazy. Bono seems to like have some kind of like grand rock star delusion-y political grandeur thing.
It seems to. Yeah.
As in he wears sunglasses inside everywhere he goes, which is what I'm
Well,
talking about kind of
He
thing.
has glaucoma.
It's for the glaucoma.
Hey, maybe we'll be lucky and we'll wake up one morning and it'll just be on our phones.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's just gonna be with the new Apple update.
He's going to read it to you personally
Yeah, it's an audio book.
before you can get the update.
Yeah, right. So some funny news. I don't know if you guys saw, but the Desert Days Festival happened, and during a set from the Viagra Boys, is a group that I have no idea, there was someone shredding a block of cheddar cheese on people's heads in the crowd.
I did see this.
See that? Yeah, there were like reports that somebody was shredding cheese, and then there was a picture that was posted up on Twitter that kind of went viral of this guy literally just with a block of cheese just shredding cheese on people. And it's
Damn, this band shreds. Total new meaning.
That joke was so cheesy, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. I thought it was a Gouda one.
Oh my God, we're full of them today, guys. Yeah, I didn't really care to expand on that story. I just thought it was really, really funny. I'll try to put the picture up too, as you know, when I introduce the headline. But Jeff, do you have anything else?
I have an R.I.P. R.I.P. to the coal miner's daughter, Loretta Lynn,
Yeah.
country music icon, died this week at the age of 90. Huge star from the early 60s through kind of today. She was making music for the past few years. Notable that I really enjoy her album from 2004, Van Leer Rose, which was like a comeback album after kind of a decade away. And it was produced by Jack White, and it was like a resurgence in her popularity. And she's one of those figures from the early days that was still around and still in the, not spotlight, but you know.
Yeah.
She had very recent records as 2018, 2021. So
Yeah.
and
There's
I
lots of great.
believe she released one in 2022, maybe, but at least the
I'm
last
not
two.
sure.
Yeah, I
I've seen.
saw a couple of the past couple
Yeah,
because
because she just celebrated her 60-year, what is that, like diamond or something anniversary of being a member of
the
Grand
the
Ole Opry.
the Grand Ole
Yeah.
Opry. Yeah, yeah. There's also like last night, excuse me, I was just on YouTube and I just typed in Loretta Lynn, just some interviews, and there's a whole wealth of great interviews with her. One from 1997 that I found, and there's a good 60 Minutes on her as well, where she like goes to like her childhood home and she kind of talks about her upbringing and her life story and everything. Very, very tragic life. She lost her husband, her son, and I think her brother in like a 6-month time span at one point in her life too. So she dealt with a lot of tragedy and stuff, but she was very resilient, and a brilliant songwriter. So
and feminist icon.
yeah,
Yeah, and
100%.
sometimes we like time is like a hard thing to really put in perspective, but like we say 90 years old, so you think she had a very long career. To put it in perspective, her close friend was Patsy Cline. They were the same exact age. Patsy Cline died at the age of 30 in 1962.
Yeah.
So that's how long.
Yeah.
That's how long Loretta Lynn was making music. Like
A long time.
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
very, very long time. Yeah. So rest in peace to Loretta Lynn. We have another R.I.P. too, right? Didn't Coolio die?
Oh, he did die.
Coolio passed away.
Here it goes.
He's now resting in a gangster's paradise.
He is R.I.P.
Rest in peace, Coolio.
Yeah, that was really sad.
It was more of
and
last
he-
week, so that one actually, I think that happened the day we recorded last
Yeah, I
week.
think
Yeah.
we found out after we recorded.
Yeah, it was like right after. Yeah. So rest in peace to Coolio and the Coolio estate.
You'll still live in my memes. You're one of my favorite memes to send.
Yeah. The gift.
Of this face.
Yeah, that one, and then the other one where it's
Riding a
still.
tricycle. I like the way he rides a tricycle.
I like the still where his hair is just
His
doing
hair's
this. It's so good. Yeah. Did you? I saw you had a picture of somebody pulled up. Did you read about? If we're talking hip hop news.
I just want to real fast before we out this music news. This is going to be 30 seconds here. This is the wrap up, music news wrap up. Jay-Z is invested. He has an investment firm and invested in a robot that makes pizza. So it's going to be a pizza truck that makes pizza on the go. It's a pizza robot. He invested like $16 million into this pizza robot.
Yeah.
So check that out. with his investment firm. And I also just want to shout out to Jeff here that his, beloved group Haim, right? Haim. Thank you. Is going to be on Sesame Street. So,
are they?
Yeah.
Nice. We'll look out for that. We are a big Sesame Street.
Sesame
family.
Street is like one of those programs that you don't realize every episode has celebrity cameos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Season 53 is going to premiere November 3rd, and we'll have a litany of guest stars, including them and some other great people. So I just thought Jeff would enjoy that, and I wanted to shout that out.
Yeah.
Nice.
For sure. So now moving on, more recently, I'm not sure exactly when the list was published. That probably would have been
September 27th, maybe.
Thank you.
A list was published on Pitchfork, and this was Pitchfork's 250 best songs of the 1990s. They had published a 200 best songs of the 90s in 2010. So a dozen years have passed since their last list. And do you want me to read down the top 20 real quickly?
Yeah, let's do a quick rundown.
All right, starting from 20. Born Slippy Nux by Underworld. 19. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. 18. Common People by Pulp. 17. Sour Times by Portishead. 16. Freedom 90 by George Michael. 15. Shook Ones Part 2 by Mobb Deep. 14. Criminal by Fiona Apple. 13. Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. 12, Doo-Wop That Thing, Lauryn Hill. 11, Around the World by Daft Punk. 10, Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill. 9, Juicy by the Notorious B.I.G. 8, Say My Name by Destiny's Child. 7, Window Licker by Aphex Twin. 6, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. 5, The Rain, Super Duper Fly by Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. 4, Fucking Run by Liz Phair. 3, Are You That Somebody by Aaliyah. 2, Hyper Ballad by Bjork. And number 1, the remix of Fantasy by Mariah Carey and Old Dirty Bastard. So
Interesting list.
I think it's in my view, it's a mix of big songs that you kind of can't leave off the list, and they mix in their like we are blog boys who like want to highlight like our cool niche like interests and like how we're hipper than other people type of thing.
See, that was the vibe I got.
Which is cool. Can we start with this? Now this list said the 250 best songs in the 90s. Like what quantifies best in your opinion?
See, that's what we were trying to talk about too, because that was my thing, was like we were talking about like best songs and stuff, but I don't know if you saw it, but on there was a link to like the editor's note.
Okay.
And they were talking about how like, you know, what was the criteria to choose the songs and stuff, and like what was being taken into consideration. You know, I think commercial success was definitely one, popularity, you know, all that kind of thing. I mean, best, that's a tough one because it's sort of just subjective. It's like who's to say what's best and what's not best? Everybody has different taste. That's why I think that when it comes to these rankings and things like that, you know, you see things like, you know, when Rolling Stone does like the best guitar players of all time, it's always like the top 10's the same, just in like a different order. You know, you kind of fall into that kind of a thing. I don't really know. What does best mean? What does it, you know, it's...
What does best mean to you?
I think it's the songs, at least, that come out that are game changers. And what I mean by that is like songs that there's like kind of a before and after they were released, and it's very like seismic in their impact, not only on society and popular culture, but also the impact on the popular art that is created afterwards, and even the indie art and all that good bullshit that's made afterwards. It affects everything. So I think it's songs that have clear before and afters.
Yeah, I think commercial appeal, success, that type of undeniable like influence on things that came after. Like if you saw this list, you'd go, yeah, that makes sense. So can we start with what on that top 20 to you jumps out as like, this doesn't really make sense. That's top 20. Hit me.
Number 4, Liz Phair's Fucking Run. Liz Phair's Exile in Guyville is a great record. If you are into some of my favorite bands right now, Soccer Mommy, Snail Mail, Bully, they all are born out of that, literally kind of like that one record is really the sound. It's very popular right now, and it's in a renaissance, if you will, but that record Never Said is the big single off that record, which I think is a better song than Fucking Run. It might not be artistically a better song. It's a bold song. I don't think it belongs in the top 10. I don't think it belongs in the top 20. It can be in the top 100. It's a, you know what I mean? Maybe, but I don't think it's a before and after song. I just think that's a before and after album, sure, but the top songs.
Yeah, I think that is why they picked a song from that album, is because that has influenced so many things 30 years later. Yeah, I like its representation, but
that's how I feel.
I think it's a fair somewhere in the top 25 song.
Yeah.
Because of, the importance of that
where we are
album.
now.
Yeah, because so kind of, splitting hairs. It at number 4 stuck out to me, especially because they has Rebel Girl, Bikini Kill, very different music, more raw and punk and all that. But Bikini Kill is kind of a similar girl-powered rock and roll stuff.
Yeah.
Again, two different worlds or two subsets of like a similar thing, but
arguably Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill is the more before and after band and song, I think.
Yeah.
The subtleness of Liz Phair is only now creeping up, I feel, in most, like, in the popular...
Phoebe Bridgers and, Sakamami and all those bands.
So,
deeply indebted to that album, though. So, 4...
So I don't know.
I think we all kind of agreed that one was like a not like a bad song, but like a weird.
I think
choice
25
for
to 30 is a good place for it. You guys big Aphex Twin fans?
I did not.
So that
I
was
not. I'm like, where did that come from? I don't.
Blog Boys.
Yeah, that's what
it's just so Aphex Twin is like one of.
I had no idea what that was. Full disclosure.
Okay.
I had no idea what that was. Like, who the hell is this?
Have I seen that album cover a million times? Yes.
Yeah.
Have I ever been interested to listen to it? No. I figured it was some hipster nonsense.
I was just kind of like, okay,
it is. That's why it's up there.
For me, this is based pretty much on personal taste. I mean, does it deserve to be number 2? I don't know, but Bjork, I mean, listen, this is Bjork is a blind spot for me entirely, so this might be an unfair thing for me to say.
What do you know about the Sugar Cubes, Mike?
But I'm just trying to say though, I look at it and I go, you're going to put Bjork at number 2, but you're going to put Lauryn Hill at number 12. Like,
hey, some would say that Bjork is like more of an outlier and like a totemic artist.
Right.
And it's Bjork is Bjork, and like people don't sound like her, and people, when they're trying to chase what she's doing, they're like, you are trying to do what Bjork does.
Right. And that's why, admittedly, like, I wanted to put the disclaimer out there that Bjork is a huge...
Come on, Michael, come listen to me.
God, get out of here. Did you see that the latest news article with her where she's wearing like this giant sort of, it looks like those inflatable costumes? Have you seen it? I'm like, what's going on,
She's
Bjork?
like a wood nymph that lives over there in Iceland.
Number 2 is such a bold choice. It's so bold. It's like it's a raucous statement.
Yeah.
And it's
let Pitchfork. That's like the most Pitchfork of all Pitchforks.
You know what it is.
Also, what is it?
Well, for me, it's just, like, this is my thing, right? Like, when I think of like the greatest songs of the 90s, for me, it's just more of an emotional reaction in the way that's just like, what songs on here trigger like my 90s response? And for me, it's just like Criminal triggers a 90s response, Fade Into You triggers a 90s response, Say My Name, sure, Rebel Girl, sure, Juicy, yeah, Smells Like Teen Spirit, of course, And that's where I'm like, I just like Criminal. Like, I remember watching that. That's the music video where she's like in the bathtub, right? Like, that to me is like seared into my brain as being like this nostalgic feeling of
1996.
Like it just feels like that time. And I don't know that Bjork feels like that time for me. Again, in 96, we were how old?
Also, I was saying to Mike that this list is more akin to a European sense of music and taste, I feel. Just because I feel like George Michael's Freedom was a way bigger song in Europe than it was in America, even though it was a big song over here, too. I feel like that was just a smash, like, giant thing.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Aphex Twin I feel like that's more of like a dance hall UK sensibility, and that's where that kind, you know what I mean? So I feel like this list too is like where Americans that were like, we didn't listen to that on the radio. Where, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're taking into account. So I looked, like, slight sidebar. I looked at the list from 2010, and there are a lot of similar things in like the top 40, let's say. But that list was like, we are guys who like indie rock music. There were so many, like, the top 10 was like 6 indie rock bands, and you're like, okay, Pavement and this. It's like, cool, like, important, but also like a little lacking of representation. I see some of what might seem strange choices as being very 90s picks. Like that Born Slippy song, that is like trance, dance, rave culture, which was huge in the 90s. Like how we think of EDM in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Like in the world, there was such a huge like techno and all that ravey type of music. Same thing with the Aphex Twin song, which is like Aphex Twin is more like nerd version of that kind of music, but also like another thing that like I didn't listen to in the 90s, but the people who listened to it were like, we only listen to music like that.
Right.
I think a big winner of this, especially of the top 20, with 2 beats featured in the top 5, Timbaland.
Timbaland, yeah.
Because Timbaland still, when I listen to a Timbaland beat, I go, man, nobody makes beats like this, and somehow all of his beats sound futuristic in like not a dated way, but like actual futuristic, like way ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Well, Are You Somebody, the Aaliyah track that's number 3 on this list. I was like, I went through this list and I was like, let me listen to all the ones I like don't know.
Yeah.
And I clicked that one because I'm like, I don't know the song. And I listened to it and I was like,
Yeah,
I definitely know this song, the Dr.
dun,
Dolittle
dun, dun.
soundtrack.
That's right.
And I remember the music video and I remember the dancing. And
Like the samples of Babies.
Yeah. It's insane. The beat is so good. Like Mike was just doing. It has all those like pop click noises. What a 90s song. That for me, that was I remember before and after that song in my life. I remember that came out. I remember watching it on TRL. I remember how big it was. It was like number 1 for like it was huge, that song.
And I think it's stated either in the description for the Missy Elliott song or the Aaliyah song that I think the whole Timbaland approach to writing beats and stuff was because he like there were so much lawsuits and stuff with like
Sample
music
clearance.
sampling, sample clearance and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of forced him to be creative in like a different sort of way and kind of sample other things that like, you know, would be easier to kind of get sample clearance for and stuff. But it just clicks with him. I mean, that Missy Elliott track, dude, I mean, come on, I love that song. That song is so cool.
Do you guys, how about, so Britpop was huge in the 90s. I like Pitchfork not choosing an Oasis song or a Blur song, but choosing a Pulp song.
Yeah, right.
Just to be like, well, we're cooler than
Both
pop
of those
music.
bands.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, again, I for me, I was like, this is more of like a UK list because we didn't get any pulp in America, I feel like. Right?
Yeah.
None.
And
0.
Common People was the song off of whatever album that was. And
we got
I
none.
recognize it, but also like I've heard it kind of recognized. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's same way. I was like, I know this, but like it's so like vaguely out there that it didn't feel like an important game changer to me. So that was another one. Good. That was a good spot out.
Yeah.
Now the list as a whole, I don't know if you looked at the full list or if you searched to see if certain things were on it, but there were some songs that, in my opinion, should have been higher on this list, definitely. And then there were some songs that I'm like, how is this not on this list of 250? Closer by 9 Inch Nails, to me, is like a top 10 song. If I'm thinking what made the 90s, what influenced multiple genres of music that were big in the 90s, Closer, I think, is 31 on the list. And like top 10, top 15 is, in my opinion, where it should have been. And then this song by a Swedish pop group, Love Fool by the Cardigans.
It's such a 90s song.
Huge song, huge 90s. It's like that 90s style where it's like sounds like a retro 1966 song. It's on the list, but it's not number 64. And for me personally, I would have liked to see it as a top 25 pick because it's like I think that band's a one-hit wonder. I can't name any other songs, and that's like a perfect song. That's like sealed in plastic, like immaculate song.
songs I thought should be on that list in the top 20. I thought Groove is in the Heart by D.
Yeah,
Light
I thought me too.
should be in the top 20 because stylistically and just
it's number 47.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was in the 40s somewhere.
I feel like the song is just so impactful and fresh sounding, and as the rap verse and the funk and the Bootsy Collins feature,
it deserved top 25.
It's just so my favorite song of the 90s, I think so.
Yeah. I saw Creep TLC. That was number 54. You know, that's one of those ones where you look at it and then you look at Destiny's Child and you're kind of like, okay, I mean, like who kind of came first and who was sort of the trendsetter and that thing and all that. I mean, I have very distinct memories of Creep and Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, like the music video for that and stuff. And TLC was like really big. Like my cousins really were into them. So, you know, it's that age-old question of kind of like, you know, are they is it better because it's first, or, you know, it's that whole thing, like the predecessor, do they get the accolade before the you know, the next version of the same thing, you know?
What about the ODB feature version of Fantasy? Do you feel like I feel like the other version of Fantasy is the one I listen to way more and the one I hear more.
Yes, but I think the remix
that.
is more important because I'm gonna be fully transparent.
Please fill me in.
That song came out.
I'm curious why that version is number
96, maybe something like that. 95, 96. It wasn't until I'm being honest, like until I was like 20 years old, where I fully was like, "Oh wait, Mariah Carey is black," because like, she was marketed as a white singer, as like a whitewash type of singer. So I think the ODB version is very important because it was a time in her career where she was like, I'm actually a black artist. Like the urban hip hop crossover stuff is what I want to be doing. It's what like music speaks to me. And I think it's important that a big pop star had a crossover hit with a wild rapper.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that was like, that seemed like an unsanctioned event. Because she was like, she was married to Tommy Mottola, her record label executive and stuff, and she was like kept like on a straight line, and she pushed to have a feature with ODB, who I'm sure like
those who know
showed up to the recording, you know, in a different state possibly.
Yeah.
So I saw it and I thought, but then I'm like, you know what? I think it's important that a pop artist having a rap crossover and like embracing her blackness and embracing like, you know, all those things.
Yeah.
But I like Emotions. If I'm picking a Mariah Carey song, Emotions is my favorite Mariah Carey song from the 90s.
I'm Fantasy. I like the Tom Tom Club sample. I'm into it.
Yeah. Nirvana number 6. I mean,
it has to be there.
You know, it's got to be there.
No Love for the most important black male rock star of the 90s.
No Lenny Kravitz.
No Lenny Kravitz in the top 50.
I know.
What the top? I'm sorry. Top 250. He was on the list.
He wasn't on the list at all.
He had no songs on the list.
What?
Not even.
Come on.
Not even. It ain't over.
It ain't over till it's over.
Is that 2001? Does that come out?
No, that was 91. That was an early song.
Really?
It was that early.
Yeah. It ain't over is 91.
Damn.
Are You Gonna Go My Way was 91.
That was also 91?
Yeah. Or no, Are You Gonna Go My Way is the album after, so that was 93.
Yeah.
Fly Away was 98.
And he was like a breakout artist. I mean, like,
he was the only black rock artist in the 90s.
Well, actually, this is like 1989. I was gonna give you Living Color,
but they're a band.
Oh, there you go.
Not a
single solo artist.
He was a solo artist, right?
No love for Lenny Kravitz. How about this? Not on the list. I'm gonna say the artist not on the list. Nas. Importantly, New York State of Mind not on the list of top 250 90 songs.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, it's the A-B of Shook Ones Part 2, where it's like these are the greatest hip hop samples.
That is interesting, huh?
Like songs of all time.
Because Shook Ones got 15.
I know, and it's no Nas on the list
at all.
No.
They did Nas dirty.
I feel like overall though,
Mind,
Pitchfork has they don't really do rap well.
They had there are a lot of rap songs on this list though.
They do, but they're like even Mike was like the Mob Deep pick. Is that your Mob Deep pick for the best, song. Mobb
That's
Deep
the
song.
song.
Of the
That
90s.
is the
That's the
song. I
song.
mean, Survival of the Fit is my favorite on that record.
But that's the song.
But Shook Ones is the song. That's the one that was featured in 8 Mile. That's the one. That's
How
like
about this?
that's the instrumental hip hop song.
Spitting on his grave. No Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because think about that, right? Well, I mean, what was the commercial success of that song?
It was number one.
Yeah,
It was like
Weird
one
Al
of the
parodied it.
rare number one rap songs
Yeah.
of the mid 90s.
Strange, and that's like
And I think it's like kind of overplayed or was overplayed and all that stuff and parodied in the mid 90s. But like when Coolio died, I went, you know what, Gangsta's Paradise is kind of like almost a joke song. And I listened to it, I'm like, this is not a joke song. This is like an increbly good song.
Yeah,
the,
Like
the
incredibly
Stevie
good.
But I
Wonder
mean,
sample.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, like they put and we everybody knows who listens to this podcast. Like we love DMX. I love DMX. But like DMX is on the list, but Nas isn't on the list. You know what I mean? That's weird to me. That's very weird. I mean, Bone Thugs and Harmony got Crossroads on the list. They're at number 73. I mean, at least you got Tribe Called Quest, but still Dr. Dre featuring Snoop Dogg off the 2001 album, which was not released in 2001. But it's like, yeah, that's odd because it's like you're gonna do the the hit single off of like the later, like not because the Chronic is the Dre album. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if
there were
is
songs
a
off
Dre
that.
album.
Nothing But a G Thing was on the list.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. They're like you have like repeats of artists and stuff, and then to not even include somebody like Nas, I think is just kind of weird.
And
not
Nas
even
isn't a
include
hits
Coolio.
guy, but like everyone who
but-
listens to rap music knows New York State of Mind is is one of the top 10 rap songs of all time.
Well, yeah, and it's the
Like-
borough thing, right? Like Biggie's Brooklyn, Nas is Queens. I think Mobb Deep is Queens too.
I have to go blow my nose.
Okay, go blow your nose.
Justice for Lenny Kravitz, okay?
yeah, justice for Lenny.
Respect. Put some respect on Lenny Kravitz's name.
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz, he could have had like 6 different songs in the 90s picked on this list.
They did not go his
Not
way.
a single one.
But
These
there's some other stuff on here too, though. I mean, Bjork is a reoccurring one.
gotta-
They gave Tony Braxton a song
want
on
you
here,
to
so that's
Unbreak
cool.
My Heart.
No, oh crap! I just scrolled past it. What the hell?
I want you to listen to Bjork and then give us a review of Bjork.
Oh God.
Come on, man. You like that album?
2-word review. Shit sandwich.
No, you liked that album.
You're
by-
making me high is the Tony Braxton song.
Who is the girl?
Who?
The girl, the pale girl with blonde hair who makes Bjork-inspired music. She is from another Scandinavian country. Well, I can't remember her name. But we reviewed her album.
Oh. And I liked it?
Yes, we all liked it.
Oh. Who
The
did
fuck
we
was her
Oh,
name?
I can't remember.
Aurora.
Oh, yeah.
And she made that music. She's from like Finland or something like that.
Was that
And-
this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all reviewed it, and we were all like, "Wow, actually, like for music that we don't actually listen to." So yeah, you gotta.
All right. I'll try to give
Bjork.
I'll have to give Bjork
And
her,
listen to
her
Aphex
listen.
Twin. Listen to '90s Aphex Twin,
Oh, good God.
and come back to me when your brain's scrambled.
I'm just gonna take a bunch of ecstasy and listen to all that stuff. Anyway, all right, you guys want to wrap this segment up real quick, and then we'll come back. We'll do 2 new album reviews. We'll be right back. Stick around. You're not gonna want to miss these. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Hofner Guitars. I have here the Hofner Shorty. It is a full-scale, travel-size guitar. You can find this and all of their products at hofnerguitars.com. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Get in the Garage.
Win the Music Podcast.
For music lovers.
As always, 2 new album reviews for you this week. The first one up is by the band The Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Luke, can you give us the album name,
I will.
please?
Once I get it up on my phone.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
called
a
Cool It Down.
Yeah.
Cool It Down by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. This is a return for them. They haven't released an album since 2014, I believe, is their last album. So this is a break from the hiatus. It is 8 songs long. It is very short. The brevity of this record is 32 minutes and 28 seconds.
Yeah, good short record. Jeff said it best the other day. I was like, I listened to the Yeah Yeah Yeahs record. He's like, is it more like the Meh Meh Meh's record? And I was like, kinda. No, I'm being a little bit harsher critical about it. For me, I think that it was a slow beginning. I think the first 2 songs for me, I was like, oh no, what am I getting into? I think it picks up a little bit in the middle. But the first two songs were a little bit slow. I don't know. What did you guys think?
So
yeah, I appreciate Perfume Genius, who's featured on the first track, but yes, you start off the record with like a long exhale of dreamy, orchestrally, synthesizer-y keyboard stuff, and
it's like
sleepy,
synth pop, dream pop kind of.
It's not what I was start the record with, but
no, it's
I
not.
said the same thing to Luke.
It's not a high energy beginning. It's kind of like a torch song to begin the record. The chorus spitting off the edge of the world, which is the title of the song. It is kind of like just a throw it all in the air, dream pop, torch song, like I just said. And then the second song, Love Bomb, is a complete like dream pop, like wave of slow push pull.
Yeah.
And the vocal is kind of understated and lovey-dovey kind of lyrics. It, to me, really doesn't pick up until you get to the third track, Wolf, and even at that, it's still a little mid-tempoed. This record picks up straight in the middle on Fleas.
Yeah.
But again, let's talk Wolf.
it builds.
I think Wolf was one of the stronger songs on the record.
My favorite Duran Duran song.
Right.
I mean, it basically was.
So,
yeah, that's what we said today too. I was just like, "Is this?" I saw it. I was like, "Is this a Duran
Is this
Duran
a
cover?"
cover?
Like what? And I was like, "No, it's not." I looked at. I even A-B'd him. I'm like, "Wait a minute."
It's just a very heavy homage.
Right,
Yeah.
and then I also wanted to point out, which Pitchfork already did as well, and this is where I got that from. The song "Burning" steals the Four Seasons melody from their song "Beggin'," and I A-B'd those, and it really does. Like, it just updates that version with a new set of lyrics. And
Which was already a big hit like last year by Måneskin, the Italian band, who did that song, I'm begging.
Oh right, yeah.
So it was just like, I don't know, maybe I would not have used that sample again so soon, but...
And it wasn't even like a sample. They just kind of like...
Yeah, interpolation, stealing the
Yeah,
piano of it.
So
yeah.
this record also is doing that thing where it's taking your influences and really bringing out in the forefront. Obviously, the Duran Duran, Hungry Like the Wolf, and the song Wolf. Fleas has ESG, the dance band, is referenced in that song about dancing to that band and going to the concert and kind of getting a new lease on life after that event. So the combination of those songs, the Four Seasons, on Burning, Fleas having the ESG, and Wolf, Duran Duran, they're all right back in front of each other. It really just kind of like puts the "this is where I'm coming from" kind of thing on kind of like the other shoulders. And I think it kind of works well, but it is a bit jarring and weird because, like Mike said, you're like, I'm kind of listening to a rewrite of Hungry Like the Wolf for the modern era, just like Burning is a kind of a rewrite of that Four Seasons song.
Yeah.
So very strange. But
This ain't Yo Mama's Yeah Yeah Yeahs either. This is like, if you only know Fever to Tell, the first album with Maps, they did do keyboard stuff on later albums more heavily. This is like heavy keyboards.
Yeah.
Which is Karen O and the guitar player both play keyboards on it, and another album produced by Dave Siddick from TV on the Radio, who was a producer on I believe all of their records. So it's true to form. It's like after almost a 10-year hiatus, but it is a more mature sound and a more like, we aren't a garage rocky type band anymore. I think they're all in their like late 40s, if I do the math. Like, so it's,
it was like an adult contemporary pop record, definitely in the way it was structured. It had a lot of the new pop production values on this record, but artistically, it was definitely from an adult point of view, a matured view, and it didn't have any of that like the things we've been seeing this year in pop has been a lot of dance music.
Yeah.
This record really had like one of those songs.
Yeah, Different Today was I think the closest thing that I came to like a dance.
Or at least
Burning was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Burning. I was gonna say Fleas.
And Wolf.
Fleas
and
was the funky one.
Yeah.
But like I meant it's like an up tempo dance kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
And this had a little of that, but it was more like a matured, like varied version of that, where it didn't give you, all fast, all slow. It had a little bit. If anything, this record kind of leans more towards the slower end or the mid-tempo range. But
yeah, and at 32 minutes as well, I wasn't really mad at it. I listened to it. I was like, this album's probably, in terms of my musical taste and stuff, it wasn't necessarily for me, but it's an easily digestible 32-minute album. It's not like it's, you listen to it and you're like, okay.
And it's really 7 songs and then like an atmospheric music backing to a 2-minute poem for the last track.
Right, yeah, Mars. Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, about
short.
her son and her at the beach. So
yeah.
It's an interesting album. It doesn't exactly give me like a full picture, a full texture of like one kind of statement for me. It's a little like up and down. Like we said, it starts off kind of slow and then builds and then kind of slows back down. Blacktop, another kind of song at the end of the album, was definitely more of a filler track, and then you get this wonderful song that is Different Today, which is the last real song in the album.
Yeah.
And Different Today, to me, should have been the album opener because it has this breath of life, and I feel different today. I'm a new person.
Right. Yeah, I did write. I like the lyrics
and
on that one.
Yeah, and it definitely had the more textured towards like what I think the record's mood maybe really is, and I feel like it kind of buries the lead with the first 2 songs. So weird choice of
bad first 2 songs.
Yeah, what is that
Yeah.
called?
Just bad sequencing. Just bad. I mean,
I think it's a little bit of bad sequencing, a little bit of maybe this album could have used 2 more songs to fill out of artistic, give me more flavor of another kind of maybe a little more fast in something.
Yeah.
or I say bad first 2 songs if you want to like hook people into your new record.
Yes.
Yeah, just not well placed.
Yeah. They're not like
Right.
bad songs, but they're a weird 1-2 punch to open a record. Very bizarre choice for such
It's like a
short
1-2 ambient.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for,
Right.
for such a record with such brevity,
Yeah.
the first 2 songs feel like
Yeah.
pretty long.
So, how do you guys feel then in terms of rating? Like,
I think I'm gonna rate this record a 7 because there's no songs in here I really hated. It's a solid record. The brevity of it works for it in a lot of ways. It has room to grow, so a 7.
Yeah. I'm going to go 6. This album wasn't really for me. It may have bumped up a little bit more had the sequencing, the order of songs been a little bit better. It just, I like a good opening song. I like something that hooks me in the very beginning and makes me want to listen to continue on. I feel like if you have a good hook in the beginning of the album, you can kind of digest and accept some more of the, I don't want to say lulls, but you know what I'm trying to say, the lower points in the record, the calmer points of the record. But 6 for me. I'm going to go with 6.
Yeah, I'm saying 6.5. I liked what they were going for and what they achieved, but also it's hard to have a couple skippable tracks when you have a 7-song album.
Right.
So it's kind of a
Yeah. Right on. Well, there you have it. What do you guys think? Do you like this Yeah Yeah Yeahs record? Let us know in the comments below. So moving on, Jeffrey, would you like to usher us into this? Because these are your, these are your boys here.
Sure. The other new album from this week that we're talking about is the new release by jazz fusion group Snarky Puppy. It's called Empire Central. This is a 19-person band based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This band makes studio albums, and then they make these live in the studio albums, and this is a live in the studio album. So they recorded tracks over 8-day period in a large room with everybody playing and with audience members scattered throughout, and everybody has headphones on to hear the mix of everything. So you hear audience interaction and clapping and stuff like that. And they record for 8 days, so these aren't like the one take they did of these songs, but these are the best takes of live, like a 19-person band playing a 7-minute song, and let's capture the magic. It is a double album length album. It's 16 tracks. It's an hour and a half long. And this, I believe, is the first live in the studio album that has had all 19 members, because in previous live in the studio albums, for example, the album We Like It Here, that had one drummer and one percussionist. This album has the band leader Mike League on bass, 3 drummers, 3 percussionists, 3 guitarists, 4 keyboard players, 2 brass players, 2 woodwind players, and a violin. Like, it's a massive band with a ton of texture. And when I say 3 drums, you're going to think like, well, yeah, it's just like a bunch of noise centers, a bunch of guys playing the same thing. It's like, no, they all find their space. And like the mixing by Nick Hard is so great on this album because you can hear like little bursts of things kind of peeking through and having their moments. I love this band. Like, this band has a bunch of other bands spawned off of it by various members of this band. And I just think like this is like cinematic instrumental music. It's funky, it's jazzy, it's world music. It's like emotive and emotional. And it's just like everybody's a killer player in this band.
Yeah.
Like, and plays their part. Like, it's a big team and they all just like know like, all right, I'm going to get my thing to shine and support. And
yeah, for me, it's that vibe of like the sum of the parts kind of idea. And you hit it on the head too. It is all about teamwork because there's no way that it can't be about teamwork when you're dealing with a 19-piece band. Like, everybody has to know what they're doing and what their place is and the function that they serve and all of that stuff. It's a whopper of a record. That hour and a half long. I was like, holy shit, this is a long album. And I initially thought that it was recorded in one night. It wasn't. It was recorded over the course of 8 nights, I think it was. Yeah. Also, it's the final recording that you have of 80s funk keyboardist Bernard Wright, who passed away at 58 shortly after the session took place. That song that he was on to, what was the name of that song?
Take It is the name of that tune.
Take It, thank you. I really, really enjoyed
his
that
solo
song.
is so it's like, can I ride dissonance for a minute and a half? Where
Yeah.
you're like, he's just like playing notes that grate against what the band is playing, but he leans into it so hard.
And even after that, though, you think like, oh, I'm gonna get a breath, and then it goes into this crazy drum solo part. You're like, what the fuck? It's just
right,
it won't quit.
Epic Asia style drum solo.
Yeah,
all 3 drummers taking
that,
different spots.
Right. So I wanted to note too, like Jeff said, this is like jazzy, fusiony. If for like lamest turns, I'm gonna also say it kind of sounds like Steely Dan inspired funk and soul with heavy fusion soloing over it. So it's like you were saying, it's the precision. It's like that thing of Steely Dan that isn't really a band. It's more of a 2 guys and a bunch of session musicians. That's really what this is, and it's interesting to hear session musicians get to really kind of grow their own in a real kind of band setting and a real live interactive setting. And that for me is the real draw of this band and the interest of it. We're talking like of like crazy songs on here and funk. Did you guys like Mean Greens and RLs? Because like midway down when you're getting through this record, for me this was a hard one to sit and listen to in the full thing, but when you got to RLs and Mean Greens, those were so funky and on like a nasty, like, kind of thing. I really enjoyed that kind of switch up where a lot of it tends to be more like, on the higher brow fusion-y jazz stuff. And this stuff was more like kilter.
Yeah, that's their bread and butter, is like stuff that makes you just be like,
yeah, because they have that
just swagger.
Another song I wanted to bring up, which is really late in the record for me to have like popped my ears, and I was surprised I dug this one, and it popped out every time I listened to it. I listened to this record 4 times, everybody, straight.
I listened to it 4 times today.
Damn, I wish I had the time. There's no way.
Because this is the band I would choose if you had like, what would be the soundtrack to your life? I would just be like, let Snarky Puppy just score my life.
Yeah.
Because it just reminds me of movie soundtracks, like in the best way.
That's exactly that. That's what I was picking up.
Which one stuck out?
Pineapple.
High five on the pineapple. I thought the same thing.
That one for me was more like on the hard bop edge, and it had like the horn lines going through it the whole time, and like the chorus with the horn lines.
And that's deep. That's like track 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah,
right,
I noted pineapple down too.
And that's right before the big single off this record, Belmont, which is like doing pretty well on Spotify. But the Belmont, I was like, I perked my head and I was like, okay. And then Pineapple kicked in. I'm like, ooh, I really like that song.
Yeah.
So there is things I really like in this. Like Bet was another one, the third track on this record. I really loved that. There were moments on this record I really, really loved. But for me, I wanted like this record to be like 4 songs, and then like another album to be fourth song. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because my cup runneth so full.
Yeah.
I'm like, and all the songs are good. All of them are great, and I loved every one of them. But it's just the length of it was just so. It was almost punishingly long. Because by the end of it, I'm like, man, I've had my full. But it was so good the whole time. That was my issue with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're just top-notch musicians, though. There's no, you know what I'm saying? You listen to it, and you're like, oh, these are people who have mastered their craft, and they know exactly what they're doing, and everything is done on purpose, and it's so well calculated. I mean, Michael League, we could talk about Michael League, and we could do a whole segment on Michael League. Incredible bass player, plays our favorite setup, the P bass with the flat wounds. You know what I mean? He's a brilliant musician, musical visionary, and all that stuff. And yeah, I love it. And these are also guys too. I forget who it was that they were talking about. I think it was the We Love It Here sessions, but it was like, wasn't it like the drummer who played on that session, like didn't even really know the songs that they were going to go over. And like, he got the music.
He learned it on the 11-hour flight to Luxembourg or wherever.
You know what I'm saying? But that's something that like
Larnell Lewis,
thank you. That's what it was. Larnell Lewis, you know. But these are top-notch musicians, man. These are guys who can do something like that and learn a body of music in an 11-hour plane ride and just be like, all right, yeah, let's start the session, you know, and then just goes right into it, no problem.
Well, I want to hear what are songs that pop out for you, because you're a giant Snarky Puppy fan. Like the ones that popped out to us are kind of like, you know, the same. But what popped out for you on this record?
I loved RL's, which is kind of the centerpiece. It's maybe track 10. I think it's the longest track on the album. It's like crazy guitar, like Wild West meets jazz shredding. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for hopefully they release all the videos, because for these live in the studio sessions, they've released 3 videos so far where they actually edit it up so you can watch the band do the thing. But they don't have the video up for that yet, so I don't know who the guitarist is. It sounds like Bob Lanzetti, who's like the most undersung of the 3 guitarists, but like it sounds like his solo stuff, so maybe it's him. I love The Closer, which is Trinity. It's a track by Mark Lettieri, who's one of the other guitarists, and that has this like kind of like jungle seductive like slow swagger, and then it goes into this like gospel bounce type of B section bridge, whatever, and they ride it out at the end. They bring it back. I like Mean Green, which is written by percussionist Nate Worth, who plays with a band called Ghost Note, and it reminds me of the music that Ghost Note does, where you can tell it's written by a percussionist when you know, like, oh, this is funk music by definition, where like even the brass hits or the guitar stuff is only doing rhythmic stuff. They aren't like playing lines. They're like fitting into the clockwork of a funk thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at the whole track list,
Please do, because I want to know what like popped out to you on this record.
I liked Cleroy as like a low key. Cleroy was written. I forget which trumpet player wrote Cleroy, but one of the 2 trumpet players. I don't think it's Maz. I think it's the other one. I can't remember his name. I really liked Free Fall, which kind of was like I don't even know how to describe that. Free Fall, I think, was heavy violin.
Yes, that was that. One. Yeah. That was that.
I think that's Free Fall.
And that violin song was very like, because it was out there. Because you were listening to this whole record, and that was another switch up on this record, because it was very funky, very soulful, very jazz. And then you're like, ooh, that was some like you're getting some like Middle Eastern flavors in there, and some like of those runs, and very interesting.
But yeah, I mean, like, I love this record. I love this band. I love what they do. I love the whole ethos behind it of like, this is a big collection of guys who, like a core 10 of them. I don't know if I know all 10 aren't still in the band, but I believe like 8 or 9 are still in the band. But they met in college at like, I think it's University of North Texas, which is right outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And this band's been going for almost 20 years. I think they started in 2004 maybe. And they just get stronger and stronger, and like all the guys are monsters. Like Sean Martin plays keyboards, and he does a lot of that like vocoder, like California Love type of stuff on like a mini Moog, and Bobby Sparks does like a whammy clavinet where it sounds like electric guitar. they're like Bob Reynolds is a nasty sax player. Like it's just a band of absolute animals. And when you have 3 drums and 3 percussionists and 3 guitars, it's like if you know all those things and you're like obsessed with music arranging like I am, you hear all the textures and all of the colors and all of the like moods and it's just like what a great thing to see of like an orchestra of funk jazz
Right.
musicians.
Right.
Like it's just like a different level. And these guys all have side projects that are all worth checking out. I mentioned Ghost Note, Fork, Mark Lettieri's solo stuff, Bob Lenzetti's solo stuff, Michael League's stuff that he does like world music with other people, because I think Michael League is based in Spain now. But yeah, this is just like monsters. These are like monsters.
Yeah, songs that stood out to me, Keep It On Your Mind. I really love that.
That's opener?
That's the album opener, you know, and we just talked about strong album openers. I like that one that had like that nice sort of like slow burn, great clavinet work in that one too. I like the song Portal. That song to me, I don't know, this might be kind of weird, but it felt very New York.
Yeah.
It opens up with the winds and the horns, and then like there's a point where like the percussion sort of drops out and it's just like hits like the click, 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 with like piano, and then the strings do this melodic lines, you know. But then it builds up to this like very like romantic, almost like what you would imagine like a New York sax solo would be. I guess that's that beautiful sort of lush thing.
New York State of Mind saxophone solo.
Yeah.
You know, like I liked the song I hope I pronounce this correctly. Honiara.
Yeah, that was I think written by the violin player.
Yeah, well, I think so. And you could tell too because it had a bit of a different feel to it. I did like the violin and guitar soloing together. Like that was a really cool thing. It's very rhythmic the whole time. And then around like the 4-minute mark, it sort of like kind of like gets a little bit quiet, and then it has this kind of like really nice like sort of like, you know, searching, noodling sort of guitar solo that kind of like, you know, explores over it. But yeah, like I mean, you know, you said it best. It's just it's an orchestra of like jazz and funk musicians, and it and it translates well. And like, look, man, you're dealing with 19 people. It could get bad. It could go wrong. It could get it
could be hats on a hat, and
and it could do that, but they didn't. It is that the all for one on one for all. Some of the parts makes the greater piece. If I do have a criticism, it would be that it is an hour and 30 minutes long. So I was like, holy shit, this is 16 songs. It's a challenge to get through if you don't have the time to do it, but I listened to it the way that it worked for me, but I was not upset with what I heard, man, because they're top-notch musicians. These are class acts,
No, you could like leave the song while you're working in the office kind of thing, and it like is playing on and on. It's not something you really need to like attentively listen to, but if you want to attentively listen to, everything is there to really dive in deep and nerd out, like Jeff was telling you.
I will say too, though, I would love to hear this band with like a vocalist or like maybe
they
couple
do
of
albums with vocalists.
Yeah.
They have a couple albums that are called Family Dinner. They've done a Volume 1 and
Volume 2.
Right. Which are other live in the studio albums, and they have different people featured on them.
Yeah. But some of these songs I would have liked to hear some vocals over. That would have been nice,
I assume like if you go by like what they've now done, I assume the next album would be another Family Dinner volume.
Right.
Because the most previous projects were a studio album, a live at Royal Albert Hall album, live in the studio, and now they'll bring it back and I assume do another one with vocal guests.
Yeah, because they did just release another album too along with this one, which is what was that live record at that festival? What was it?
The Ground Up Fest.
Thank you. Yes,
yeah, I
the
think
Ground Up Fest.
That's like a 4 or 5 song EP.
Yeah,
came out maybe last year or sometime.
Yeah. Oh, it's dated for this year, but maybe early
in the year.
Yeah. But yeah, so ratings, guys. Let's go around. Jeffrey, let's start off with you. I know you're going to give it a good rating, of course. It's your
I don't
your bread and butter.
Like hour and a half, because I just put this on. I'll listen to 5 songs. I'll listen to 6 songs. I'll listen to 3 songs. I'll listen to all 16.
Yeah.
It's the first album, as far as I know, that had all 19 playing at once, because even live, they only bring a drummer and a percussionist and usually a guitar player. And 2 keyboards, maybe 3 keyboards. So like this is the full strength of this band. Yeah, I like can't explain more how much I like this band. This is a 9.5 for me.
Yeah.
And it's only not a 10 because like a 10 would be I'd need like 2 more below your mind solos maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I'm
Picking
just
this.
like it's not perfect, but it's as close to perfect as
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Luke, how about you?
This is gonna be an 8 for me. The musicianship is out of this world, but I am so much more of a concise human being, and it's just like so much sauce. So that's why it's an 8 for me. But if this is your deal, it is your deal, like Jeff said.
Yeah. I'm going to go 8.5. I think it's super, super solid. Same thing. I mean, I'm a prog rock guy. I'm a prog metal guy. I love when the stars align and intricate things happen, and especially with this too, you know what I mean? Like you said, you love like the art of musical arrangement and stuff like that. You were a band orchestra guy. I was a band orchestra guy. You were a band orchestra guy. So, well, yeah.
Is percussion
He's a
really
percussionist.
a band
But I was,
orchestra guy?
fans of the composers, let's say, and stuff like that. And I have the utmost respect for everybody involved, and Michael League as well.
A note on that. Composers, I didn't mention it. Michael League leads this band. This has 16 tracks written by either 11 or 12 different members of the band.
Right.
So like everybody, even like compositionally, has their own moments. So,
which is cool. I think it adds. You can kind of see that it's like different
flavors,
different flavors, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go 8.5 on this one. And yeah, great record, man. Great record. Check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you love it? How do you feel about the yes? How do you feel about the Pitchfork 250 top songs of the 90s?
Mazzy Star number 1,
number 1, and
No.
number 2, and number 3,
and
number 4.
and Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz at number 3.
Groove is in the heart, guys.
Yeah.
Grooves in the heart.
So yeah, let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the podcast with all your friends. We love doing it for you, and we love you guys for watching and listening, and for all your support. We'll see you guys next time on Get in the Garage,
A music podcast.